Hello, I'm Mark,
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
and today we are going to talk a little bit about another topic that maybe you weren't thinking about, but this might give you some food for thought. But first, let's roll that title.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express!
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk a little bit about an analyst that's been looking at Tesla, looking at stock prices, looking at what they're doing. We all know that just a few days from now, the 10th of October, Tesla's going to be having an event at Warner Brothers Studios in La La Land, as they show us the RoboTaxi. Going to be out operating on the streets. That's going to be exciting. We're going to cover it here. Certainly you can join us for that. But what this analyst was talking about was he was comparing the RoboTaxi business that's coming to the sale of vehicles. And I guess lining up apples to apples, he's saying, if you look at the price of, say, a $25,000 EV, that's a Tesla, and then you look at what the RoboTaxi is bringing, he feels that the sale of a car, which Tesla has obviously done this already many times over, he feels that is more advantageous for the company and the stock compared to rolling out a new mode of transportation, the RoboTaxi, which Tesla certainly can make the cars, but it's going to be the software, it's going to be the introduction to the public, it's going to be the rollout to multiple places on Earth. He feels that they could make more money and it'd be more advantageous to the stock if they went with just the sale of the car in their forethought. If maybe you could do both. There could be a case for that, but certainly spending the resources to get production up and running on a lower priced car, which is going to bring more throngs of people to buy, because of course we know when you lower a car by $5,000, the market for that car goes up and up and up. So this is something that we thought we would discuss and see if it made sense to us, if we think that going forward, in the short term, in the medium term, and the long term, what is best for Tesla? We know what Elon has picked. We've known that for a while, but this is some people looking at it from the outside and going, you know what, there could be a better way.
Do you want to go, Casey, or do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So here's a weird case where I think Gary Black and Musk can both be right. It's just the question is, what time frame are you looking at? So we know that Tesla's between two growth curves now, and if they depend on RoboTaxi, that has to be a slow rollout. You have to put it in certain cities, Chandler, Arizona, San Francisco, whatever, and then slowly deploy it and grow it. But if they started selling a $25,000 car next year, they're going to sell as many of those as they can produce. And so in the short term, I think it's a $25,000 car. In the long term, it's RoboTaxi, Cybercab, whatever you want to call it. And because then that effectively makes the barrier to entry even lower, because you don't have to have $25,000 or the ability to finance $25,000. All you have to do is install an app, put in a credit card, pay $5 or whatever to get a ride to the airport. And so that's the ultimate long-term goal. Now, Musk is a forward-thinking person, right? So he's always thinking about, he makes decisions today based on what he thinks 2040 is going to be. And that's great. We need visionaries like that. Gary Black is not concerned with that. He's an analyst, so he's only looking at next quarter, the quarter after that. So that's where I think the disparity is the what, are you taking a long view or a short view? And the answer changes depending on which lens you're looking through. So since you mentioned this, the 1010 event's coming up in a couple of days, and I've said this on the show before, I think that they are doing the RoboTaxi event They are not going to talk about the $25,000 car, but it is the Trojan horse of this. They are developing that platform. They can't talk about selling a $25,000 car next year because that would Osborne their current sales.
Yeah.
But if they can develop the platform, if they can have them out in the public, they can do test drives and whatever they need to work out all the kinks to get it to production. And then once they have it in production, say, oh, by the way, remember that RoboTaxi thing? Well, here's one with the steering wheel, and you can buy it now. And that only happens after they're ready to hit mass production.
Yeah. Well, that's actually building on what I was thinking was if they
absolutely
were to do the RoboTaxi the way that they have implied, not even described, where you could probably buy one, but you'd be competing against Tesla, who has all the data and can do it cheaper. The only way for it to be able to hit that scale would be for them to kind of build them out in secret, get them stashed, put them all in warehouses all across the country, and then overnight just turn them on, and then hope that everything is dialed in, because you can't get the feedback you get from like a pilot city. You'd have to just have them all ready to go. But if you're doing the $25,000 car, and if they have the provision to remove the wheel, and these individual owner operators can put theirs on the network in all these different places, then you've got the RoboTaxi deployed everywhere. You got your $25,000 car. You get your little hit on top of every car. You get your Uber cut, hopefully not as much as Uber, but you get your Uber cut of every ride. And then somebody else has to clean it and change the tires.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be a slam dunk. Like being able to say, we're developing the RoboTaxi. Here's the event. Here's the car. Here's the driving around Warner Brothers. We're dialing it in. So now we can test them on the roads. We can bring them to a couple of cities, and all the time in the background, Giga Texas is pumping up and trying to get up to production faster and faster. And just being able to throw a switch, and all of a sudden this line gets steering wheels and pedals, and the other line doesn't. It would be something that no one would know it was really going on until the last moment. And then to say, oh, by the way, you can buy your $25,000 car as well. It is the RoboTaxi. It's just that you've got steering wheels and pedals, and off it goes.
Right.
That would be an unbelievable move that I think would propel Tesla forward in a huge fashion, similar to how this analyst would like to see them. I think this would even be above and beyond just saying we're building a $25,000 car. It's just kind of leading everyone on. Hey, look at the RoboTaxi. Look at the RoboTaxi. Look at there's the $25,000 cars available now.
Right, together like that, you get a synergy.
And they do say Tesla's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. That would be a 3D chess move right there.
Yep.
And if they're not all yellow, then it wouldn't even be a surprise when all of a sudden overnight a bunch of them get the steering wheels installed. And with the new tunnel at Giga Texas, nobody would even see it before they get on the truck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're selling the drone army short.
There's the quad squad, yeah. But I'm saying,
remember, they're as thick as flies in Texas. So,
but if it's indoors,
get these drones out of here, man!
Right? If it's indoors and it goes in the tunnel, and then if you happen to know when the quad squad's at your facility, and you just don't load up, then. But here's this: what if the porters need steering wheel and pedals to move them around the lot?
Oh, yeah.
As RoboTaxi, you take them out.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, that actually might be true. You might. So if they already have a good story. If somebody sees one with a steering wheel, they go, oh no, that's just for loading and unloading. We take those off later.
It's not fast. It's unstructured. We can just park them wherever, hit the lights. We don't have to worry about if it's going to follow the lines and if it's going to be okay packing in closer than 12 inches.
I could just see the car coming out of the tunnel at Giga Texas and into the export lot. And as soon as it appears out of the tunnel, there's like 3 drones landing on the windshield. You got to turn on the wipers to get them off.
Smaller.
No, that's something if they could turn around and say, well, that's just those are just delivery steering wheels and pedals. We take them off and we reuse them again for the other cars
Off
as
at
they
in the
roll
service
out.
center.
Exactly. But
So the next question is if the RoboTaxi is available for sale, who buys in, and what's the incentive to compete with Tesla, or what's Tesla going to say to convince you that you don't feel that they're going to try and eat your lunch? That was the whole point of dealerships in the first place, is that or not dealerships, but the dealership protection laws is so that Chevy wouldn't come into your town and then undercut you after you developed the market and got some inventory in town.
Well, I mean, if it's for sale, you don't have to use it as a RoboTaxi. You could just use it as your own vehicle. And then if you want to put it into the RoboTaxi market on off hours, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, for the 25K one, but for the one that's like just literally RoboTaxi, nothing else you can do with it. What would be your incentive to purchase one and start that business up?
Because I don't think they would sell those.
Yeah,
like that.
there's a question if would they sell them at all for that purpose? Because if Tesla believes, and again, Musk is looking out 20 years, if he's saying that, you know what, it's all going to turn to this anyways, why would we give away a good amount of our market share to some people that are going to buy fleets of the cars ourselves from us? Why not collect it all? And maybe what their stance is they won't sell the RoboTaxi to anybody. But if you've got a Model S, a Model X, a Model Y, a Model 3, we promised that you could do it, so you can do it. Use those cars.
Right. So that's probably where they'll go with it, because when you look at what they did with the leases, when the Model 3 came out, you could only lease it, and you couldn't buy the lease at the end.
Right.
And then they blocked it so that you couldn't do what you can do with a normal lease. You can trade out of it at another dealership and get something else. They blocked that, and then they moved the Model S and the Model X to that same plan. And I imagine that whenever you can lease a Cybertruck, it will be on that as well. And the argument was, well, this is our RoboTaxi fleet. This is what we need. And then it took a long time.
Yep, it stopped.
It took a long time. Elon said next year, and then they said, no, okay, we're going to sell these used, but they've never really been into selling used cars. They do it, but their heart's not in it. And maybe this was one tipping their hand, showing us what they had planned to do, not sell the RoboTaxi, and two, if we have that option, they might also have that option. Maybe not as good as we will be distributed. But they can flip those all of their used cars at that point, flip them over, turn them on, until they can push out enough dedicated RoboTaxis to all the different areas. They'll have Model 3s galore, they'll have a couple Model Ys, and the occasional Model S and Model X.
Yeah.
We know Cybertrucks if this thing goes as fast as he says, but he's been saying it for 10 years. It's getting closer. I'm not saying, it's getting closer.
Right. Yes, it is getting closer. So, there's still the question of when do you think you'll be able to hop into a RoboTaxi, take a nap in the back seat, and wake up hundreds of miles, or do the New York to LA or whatever. When do you guys think that'll be possible?
Well, we've made the first step. You can now do it as long as you keep your eyes open and generally facing forward.
Well, yeah. So no, this is like take a nap in the back. So true level 5,
right,
or at least 4 with a large.
Yeah, that one's further off. They said however many miles per intervention on 12.5.4, and I didn't see that on the Model 3 or on my car. I'm still out there correcting it. They still don't know why the heck I'm doing it on the X, because it doesn't ask me, hey, why'd you do that? It does on the 3, and I give them good answers, but the 3 belongs to them, so I don't drive it all that often.
I think it's still 10 years out.
Wow.
I don't see it progressing quick enough to make the drive from one city across the country, including all the driving involved, the stopping and charging at sites that can actually do the charging itself. I just don't see that in the cards anytime soon, and I have a feeling that's why the stunt was pulled off or stopped. Elon talked about doing this a couple of years ago, and he knew that it was just going to be a stunt because they had to outfit the charging stops it was making with certain automations or with an attendant or
Right.
somebody to help it happen. And I don't see them progressing that direction at this point at all. Obviously, I don't know what they're doing inside, but I still think we're a good ways away. Yes, we will get full self-driving, and yes, it will be allowed to operate in states and countries. I agree, it will come. I just don't see the full long drive happening that quick.
So how do
Okay.
you guys see that they might handle charging? We know that they have the patents for the wireless, so they bought the company,
Mhm.
took the employees, and spun the rest of it back out. Are we going to see Robo Snake? Are we going to see Optimus? Are we going to see just literal people to just plug you in? We know they're not going to do the battery swap anymore. That was an option
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
In fact, my car still has the provision all the way up until 2020. The S and the X could still drop the battery at that facility if they wanted to bring it back up. That's gone now, especially in the Texas Model Y and the Cybertruck. If they take the battery out, you're coming out the bottom of the car with it.
Yeah. Right.
I don't see it happening
Wireless.
anytime quick, but the charging I think will be eventually inductive charging. I think that's what they're going to choose. But there is problems with that. There's maintenance issues. There's problems with weather. There's problems in different areas of the country. Like I can imagine, Alberta compared to Miami. It's going to be a big difference as to that induction pad coming up and being effective and trying to shake off the snow and ice as it goes up. Even if they have it covered in some way, then that's maintenance. How do you make sure it's always available? It's not as easy as what's there today. Drive in, pull the cable out, plug in yourself, done. There's no maintenance required.
And then do you restrict older cars to local city only? And so if somebody wants to go out of town, go to the airport or whatever, they would dial it up, and now they got to wait extra so they can go on a RoboTaxi with the induction because you're not going to want to ask the customer to get out and switch. You'd much rather them say, all right, 5-minute pause to catch my breath and make it like breathe or whatever.
This is really interesting. So the wireless solves a nice problem for them in that if you have this ground-mounted coil, you can just have the car drive over it and it'll start charging. So that's very easy for a RoboTaxi to do. So I can see them going in that direction, but they've
Wouldn't need
already
another
got a massive network. So you'd have to build a parallel network. And then maybe after you've done that, you start switching all your vehicles to wireless, maybe. But it's really too bad that if that is what happens, that they would have to duplicate so much effort. At some point, you could say, well, okay, we needed to build out the network more for RoboTaxis anyway, so this way they're not competing with the human-driven vehicles. So that might work, but I think it's going to be wireless for a real RoboTaxi. Just because then you don't have to have the snake arm or attendants or whatever other. Yeah, attendants might work out if you wanted to clean the vehicle anyway between rides. So that might be not so bad. But then who pays for that? Does that come out of the fees that they charge you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we have strayed completely away from the main topic. We've gotten into charging. It was an easy transition, but I think we're going to stop there because we could keep going on for hours. So with that said, any shout outs, Casey?
Catch us back here live on Wednesday at the Tesla Life Live.
Very good. And Patrick?
I will see you guys at the RoboTaxi event. This is going to be fun. And I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. I blog at carswithcords.net where I write about my future free from fossil fuels.
Bingo. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Put in the comments what you think about what's best for Tesla, $25,000 car or RoboTaxi. Let us know in the comments. And, of course, we'll see you on the 10th.
Yeah,
and get together at that time and see what's happening in the Tesla life.
Yeah, and any that's like speculative stuff, we want to see your theories. Put them in there, and we'll have a chat. Patrick and I, oh man, we're on it.